You're listening to Wes, Way Out West, on demand. Content from Town Square Media's 99.9 KEKB in Grand Junction, Colorado. Wes, Way Out West, on demand with Town Square Media. Today we're talking ghost stories, haunted locations in downtown Grand Junction and in the Grand Valley with Rhonda Steel from Western Slope Paranormal. And our host on the Whispers from the Past tour that goes through downtown Grand Junction on Saturday nights. Rhonda, welcome to KEKB.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We are so excited to hear more about Whispers from the Past and the fundraiser coming up at the Elks Lodge. And we had some questions about a couple of locations in Grand Junction that have some legends and maybe a couple of haunts, and we were going to ask you about those as we've got a bunch of places from our listeners that we wanted to ask you about towards the end of our conversation today. But to start us off, could you tell us what is Whispers from the Past for those who don't know?
Whispers from the Past, we do a history ghost walk downtown, starting usually in April or May and going all through the summer until the end of October. We try to schedule every Saturday. Sometimes we have to change the date, but you can see the dates and everything either on the Western Slope Paranormal Facebook page or Whispers from the Past Facebook page. We walk around and we just talk about some of the horrible history in town and some of the buildings and some of their history and some of the ghosts that seem to hang out there.
And Rhonda, I bet you have no shortage of places to talk about with the many buildings that are 100-plus years old downtown that have stories behind them and different legends. So the walk is not just for Halloween time. You guys are observing the history of Grand Junction and telling the stories as long as it's nice to pretty much walk outside.
Yes.
And that runs from the spring all the way into the fall. And you guys have a website that people can go to book a spot on the tour, to get a reservation, and to purchase tickets. Could you give us that site?
On Facebook, it's Whispers from the Past Tour. If you go on a website, it's thedeadstillwalkamongus.com.
Perfect. Thedeadstillwalkamongus.com. Tell me a little bit about Western Slope Paranormal, Rhonda. What types of things have you guys been looking into in 2022?
We have been pretty fortunate this year. What we do is we are invited sometimes to businesses or homes and investigate using various types of equipment.
Oh, fascinating.
That we have in our kit. We do talks. We've done talks at Silt at the historical park there. And we go to Colorado Vintners Collective once in a while and do talks there. So we're open for talks and storytelling. We have investigated several different local businesses and a couple of homes this year. We love the Elks Lodge, and we're very fortunate to be able to work with them. And we do go in there and investigate as often as we can. And we do have the big fundraiser coming up.
We're with Rhonda Steel with Whispers from the Past and Western Slope Paranormal. Rhonda, you mentioned that Western Slope Paranormal gets calls to investigate businesses, locations, sometimes parks in the Grand Valley. What is that like, and can you tell us about a place that you've been to recently to investigate?
We did investigate at the Silt Historical Park.
Okay.
It seems like there's a little boy named Timmy that hangs out at the schoolhouse. We got his name on what's called a ghost box. There also seems to be a cat in there also.
Really? And tell me about the ghost box. How does that work?
The ghost box? It runs on radio frequency, and if you ask questions, sometimes you could get a certain voice on there that's not a radio station. It's kind of hard to use, and I'm not very good with them, but some of my other members are.
That's fascinating to me, working with audio my whole life. I love when people are like, can you hear this on that? I would love to listen to some of that.
It's interesting. We try to use the AM station because it's not quite so vocal. And we get to pick up names, and we pick up answers with it sometimes.
That is fascinating. Now, on the tour, Rhonda, do you have a spot where you're like, I love when we walk up to this building because it's got such a story, and maybe it's one that's a little bit more in-depth than others? Do you have a couple of stops on the tour that you consider to be like a couple of the premier spots that you love telling people about?
The Melrose Hotel.
Yes.
It has some pretty horrible history going back from the 1930s on. And there's been a lot of different reports of different spirits that are there, including a woman wearing white, which actually a couple of our tour leaders actually saw one night walking down the hallway. Just a lot of history there. The Melrose, I think, is probably the scariest place in town.
And these are the kinds of stories that we can hear when we go out on the Whispers from the Past tour. And we've got a couple of those coming up. But, Rhonda, you've also got some cemetery walks over the next couple of weekends, if I'm not mistaken. Could you tell us a little bit about where you go on those tours?
We do the downtown walk, and anybody who's interested in going to the Orchard Mesa Cemetery with us, we go and hang out there for a little bit. And we use some of the equipment that we have and see if we could collect any information from there.
How interesting. So not only is it the locations throughout town, but you guys get to walk into the cemetery and do some investigating in there. Those next couple of walks have the potential to include the cemetery walk here in October?
Right. Well, on the 29th, we will not be doing the walk, but I think we'll probably do it on the 28th, which is a Friday.
Whispers from the Past tour on Facebook. Find out more about the walks, the cemetery tours, and more fun, creepy stuff just in front of Halloween. Grand Junction locations we all kind of believe are haunted on the KEKB app today and front and center at KEKBFM.com. That's where you'll find links to the Whispers from the Past walk and the cemetery walks. Hosted by Rhonda Steel with Western Slope Paranormal. Now, we all love our Elks Lodge and the legends and the haunts that go with it. And there's a big fundraiser coming up for the Elks Lodge. And, Rhonda, you guys at Western Slope Paranormal are a big part of that. It sounds like a really exciting event.
That's going to be, we have 70 openings for the community to come in and investigate with us, use the equipment that we have, and learn what we do, see if they could find the different hauntings of the Elks Lodge.
This will take place at the Elks Lodge, 249 South 4th Street in Grand Junction. Now, Rhonda, what time are we going to get started on the 29th?
It starts at 8 o'clock, and we go until about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And we have 70 openings. We take groups of 10, and they go spend 15 minutes in different rooms, and they get to learn some of the equipment. And we have had a couple of the spirits that we know of in there talking to us. They know us now, so they're starting to be a little bit more active with us.
Outstanding. Holy cow. So, and that is going to be part of the fundraiser going on inside the Elks Lodge, so people can experience that and witness it firsthand. Fascinating stuff.
Building.
I hope that we get you all 70 spots filled on that fundraiser. And again, that is on the 29th, and people can head over to the Facebook page for the group to learn more, and they can also check the website that we mentioned earlier in the conversation.
To note, it's not a fundraiser for Western Slope Paranormal. We're just the sponsor for it. It is a fundraiser for the Elks Lodge.
Perfect. Okay. Haunts around town. If you don't mind, Rhonda, I'd like to pull up a list here. We were talking with our listeners, and they were sending in locations in town that everybody says is supposed to be haunted. I wanted to run a couple of these by you if I could, and maybe we can say, yeah, that's legit, or no, haven't really heard much about that. Could we do that?
Sure.
Now, you can follow along with us on the KEKB mobile app. Check out the story that says, locations in Grand Junction we kind of all think are haunted. We'll run through the locations that you guys have asked about, and we'll see what Rhonda has to say about a few of these stops along the list. And we would love to hear from you with the app chat feature on the KEKB mobile app if you've got a stop you would like to ask Rhonda about. Got the app chat open right here in the studio so we can see your message as soon as it jumps into view here. We'll ask Rhonda about some haunted locations in town and see if we can find any that are in the Grand Valley, maybe outside of town, coming up. Rhonda, one of the first places that got sent in when we started asking people about haunted locations was the old schoolhouse over in Loma. Do you know anything in the background of that?
That I do not know. I've had people ask me about it before, but as far as I know, it's a home, and we have not been invited in there. I don't know if it's still a home, but it was at one point.
I saw a couple of years ago a listing for it, and it looked like it did get purchased, but beyond that, not a whole lot of information. Boy, it sure gives you the creeps when you drive past it, though.
It seems like schools, theaters, and hotels all tend to have some kind of activity in them for one reason or another.
Thanks so much to Steve and Kiana Wells who sent that in asking about the old schoolhouse in Loma. There's a picture of it at KEKBFM.com, and the article at the top of our app Grand Junction locations we all kind of think are haunted. We're running down the list in that article right now, so you can see a picture of the old Loma Schoolhouse right there. Rhonda, can you tell us anything about hauntings around the 5th Street Bridge?
I know that there's been a couple of murders there, but I haven't actually heard anything about the bridge at all.
Other than the Bundy story, pretty much.
Right.
Molly Harbin, thanks for asking about the 5th Street Bridge. A picture of it right there on the KEKB mobile app. I took it in the daytime, less scary. We have several people mentioning the Melrose Hotel. That is up here. What about, I had a couple of people mention the old Royce Hurst location. Have you heard anything about that?
I keep hearing stories about it. Again, that's not one of the places we've been invited to go and investigate. I think other people have actually been there to investigate. I don't know what that location was originally. I don't know if it's always been the Royce Hurst or if it had something else there. You know, animal spirits linger sometimes too.
Lisa Trammell, thanks for asking about the old Royce Hurst location. We certainly had a few people bring it up. A couple of others said the old St. Mary's Hospital or the Hilltop Latimer House location nowadays.
I hear stories a lot about it from different people that take my walks that work there, and they say that it's pretty active there. I've been trying to get in there, but I'm not sure they're going to let us.
Amy Miller asking about the old St. Mary's location, and Shaylin Otero about the Hilltop Family Resource Center. Thank you, ladies.
Anybody has any kind of hookups with these places, that'd be great.
Yes, absolutely. If somebody listening says, I know someone that can get you guys in there, please let me and Rhonda know. Rhonda, one other place I wanted to ask about, do you hear stories or people still talking about the grounds over at the regional center, that perhaps there was a burial ground over there? Likely that there is one. I just don't know that anyone knows exactly where it is.
They're still working on the location. There's been several people from the university that have been out there. One of the professors, I know he's been out there. People from the museum have been out there trying to locate that cemetery. There is a list of the names, so we do know that there's several children out there, including a chief's son. That is still a place that we've been working on very hard to get to, but because of clients that I believe are still there. They're still moving them out, but I think there's still clients there.
Certainly.
They will not let us come in.
Lastly, Rhonda, I wanted to ask you about maybe a location or two that is necessarily outside of town, like we hear about the Lady in White in Horse Thief Canyon. Any places like that that you get asked about or know anything else about?
Let me tell you about Horse Thief Canyon.
Please.
That one is actually, if you're out looking for something, and if you're quiet and you're not being overly loud and just settled in, she does tend to show up sometimes. We've actually encountered her. Yeah. Not so much as a form of a woman in white, but we have seen her as a mist. She formed twice as a mist. We use digital recorders, and we do get her voice almost every time on there.
That is fascinating. And that's just being outside. And is it day or night, or does it matter?
We're usually out there in the evening just because it's a nice place to sit and relax and enjoy the stars.
Rhonda Steel, this has been some fascinating information. You've given us a lot to look into further as we get closer to Halloween, and we definitely want to get people out on those Saturday evening walks with you, whether it's Whispers from the Past or whether you're doing the cemetery walk or whether they come to the event at the Elks Lodge on the 29th. If you could give us the Facebook look up and then your website one more time so we can get people one more chance to write that down and get themselves locked in for one of these great tours.
It's Whispers from the Past tour on Facebook, Western Slope Paranormal on Facebook, and the Dead Still Walk Among Us.com online. And I will, for the walks, if somebody doesn't want to do a Saturday but they want to come out, they could contact me and I'll schedule something else.
Rhonda, thank you so much. I can't wait to see you on a Saturday and walk downtown with you and to learn a little bit more about some of these fascinating stories. This has been great.
Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Absolutely. We'd love to talk again, okay?
Anytime.
Wes, Way Out West, mornings on 99.9 KEKB, Grand Junction, Colorado. Thank you so much for tuning in to Town Square's on-demand content on our app. More content like this, weekdays, 6 till 10 on the Grand Valley's #1 for New Country, 99.9 KEKB.